FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Nietzsche was really interesting to me because as soon as I started reading him, I felt like I was in the presence of a rock star, like somebody who, you know, if they had owned a blues record and an electric guitar, you know, and a power amplifier, would have invented rock and roll in 1900. Like, it's because you know, Nietzsche's whole philosophy is based on the idea that there is no such thing as a social conscience. You know, there's no what's good. You know, when philosophers talk about what's good, you know, what's the desired outcome. For Nietzsche, what is good is just what's good for me right now. You know, and you know, when you look at, like, if you try to imagine an example of that in action, the clearest example I can think of today is a rock star. You know, and I write a little bit in the book about Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode, who at a certain point in his career, after his band became incredibly popular in the States, just decided to see what it would be like to live a life free from restraint, which is something that Nietzsche wrote about a lot. You know, it was the idea of human beings realizing their potential, which is part of why he had to reject Christianity and the whole idea of sin. You know, he had to imagine a man, a figure, who could embrace all of life. And when Nietzsche talked about life, he meant everything. He meant violence and war and love and, you know, dancing and ecstasy and, you know, all of those things. That was living, you know, to Nietzsche. And so he tried to imagine somebody who could embrace all of those things without the, you know, the Judeo-Christian hang-ups that had stopped people from really embracing them in the past. And you know, and if you look at what Dave Gahan did in the early 90s, that is exactly it. You know, he actually says in interviews, I decided that it was within my means to make myself into a monster, and that's what I did. You know, there was nobody who was going to tell me what not to do. You know, there was no reason for me to stop doing anything that I was doing. So I just decided to see how far I could push it. You know, how you know, how many drugs I could take, how many people I could sleep with, how, you know, how high I could get, how long I could stay up, and you know, almost killed himself. But he had. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that this was actually a philosophy which at some point he thought out and planned to follow through on, and that's why Nietzsche was important to me, I guess, because, you know, because I feel like he predicted a lot of those things about 100 years early.